welcome to Gaming Ryder. Today it's Sega versus Super Nintendo.
So we're going to look at the two different systems, some of the games and stuff. I don't have the original SNES out. I have the mini SNES, just to reference, just to look at.
He used to have the original NES when he was a kid.
Yeah, I did. And then there's the Sega.
And Daddy said before he loved this system about this. Tell me what you love about it.
What I love about which system?
This one, the
Sega, I do like the looks of the Sega. I think it looks cool.
It looks like
futuristic and
I said
black
those look, that kind of reminds me of those radios in 1970s.
Well, it's very plain and simple, and I like that. And I always thought it looked cool when I was younger.
And
the Super Nintendo is not really super cool looking. Like, I don't know, it's not bad looking, but the Sega does look better, I guess. But I like the color system better on the Sega.
And guys, I want to tell you about their first. This was my life. I love this system.
Yeah, that's become probably your favorite system right now, isn't it?
Because they have like colorful graphics. They have a lot of colorful things.
See, when I was little, I got the SNES, but I didn't have the Sega when I was little. I had friends that had it, but I didn't have the Sega.
You played with your friends?
Some, but not a lot. We mostly played. Most of my friends had Nintendo.
Usually I play like Sonic on this thing.
Yeah.
This is like, that's like one. I play 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles. Do you know that you can only put Sonic and Knuckles in 2 and 3. You can't put 1 in it. Because I really want to see what Knuckles looks like in the first one.
Yeah. So I didn't get into Sonic until really you did. I always played mostly Nintendo stuff. But I did play Mortal Kombat and...
You've seen our 2 videos about Aladdin and the Lion King? I still have those. Because those 2 games still lasted for years.
Yeah. And those games are up on our channel, I believe.
Yeah, those are on our channel if you want to go see those.
Okay, so that's kind of just talking about the looks of them. And I think we both like the look of the Genesis better. Now, controller-wise, Ryder likes the Genesis controller better.
Because it looks like a crescent.
I think just because I've used it so much, I like the SNES much better. I like the way it feels. I'm used to the controls. I like the way it feels. So, but the Sega doesn't feel awful. I like the SNES better.
Or the Sega Genesis controller looks like a moon.
It does, but I mean, not look-wise, how it feels in my hand. I like the feel of
what the shape of
NES.
the SNES controller is.
It's fairly simple. It's like a dog bone.
Like a dog bone.
Yeah.
The NES controller looks like those like iPhone cases.
Kind of, I guess. Okay, so let's go to
start with Genesis.
Probably the first 2 games that everybody got big on each system.
So here is the first game that ever released on the Sega Genesis.
There might have been a game come before. I don't know.
I don't think that game came out first, but I think.
But it's the game that everybody really got into. Like Genesis is known for Sonic, and SNES is known for Super Mario.
Now this was my favorite game of all time because you play as Sonic, he goes faster, and when you play in Sonic 2, you play as Sonic and Tails, which makes it easier because you can fly with. When you get on Tails in Sonic 2, you can fly with him.
This is probably my first or second favorite Mario of all time.
This is my top 1 favorite games. You guys, like in Sonic 2, you play as Sonic and Tails, but in Super Mario World, you get Yoshi and
or Mario or Luigi. This is where we differ. This game's okay. I'm not crazy about Sonic.
That's one thing I like about this game because there's robots.
Yeah.
Because I love robots.
I'm only going to play Sonic if he makes me play Sonic. I'm not a Sonic fan, really. But this, I play constantly. I love Super Mario. On Super Mario World.
I love that game, too. I love them both. Yeah. And I like the little green Yoshi. He's so cute.
Yeah.
That was Yoshi's first appearance in this Mario game.
I believe it was.
He was first appeared in that game.
So those are the two games that probably most people associate with each console. If you think Sega, you probably think Sonic. If you think Nintendo, you definitely think Mario. So that's the two. And there were a lot.
Games.
There were a lot of games. I mean, they kept putting out games with these people.
And this is the game that featured Tails in it. I love this game. I love all 4 Sonic games because they're amazing.
That's something I like about Sega. If you are a fan of somebody like Sonic, like you went straight from Sonic 1, which was
Sonic
good,
2 came
to
out
Sonic
back
2.
in November of 1992 of that game.
Sure.
But I know it came out in 1992.
Yeah. See, with NES, with the original NES, you got Mario, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, and Super Mario Brothers 3.
Like when
you did get 3 games on that one system, and they were all good. Sega did this. They did Sonic 1, and they come straight out with Sonic 2.
Like if you had Genesis, like when you were older, you would play like Streets of Rage.
Yeah. Super NES got a little quirky with some of their games.
Mario Paint.
Yeah, something like Mario Paint. I don't like Mario Paint. I
wonder what Mario. Well, you have a mouse in Mario Paint.
Yeah, I've never got to play it but once or twice. But I prefer Sonic to Mario Paint.
I like painting, so I think it would be fun.
I like Sonic compared to Mario Paint. And then Sega kind of kept it going.
Okay, then in 1994 they released this game, and then also first time you could play with Tails.
So Sega did have some really
good. And that's what made the game a little bit more easier.
I like that they milked their franchise character. Nintendo Super NES did that. They had Super Mario Kart and stuff like that, but they also had stuff like
Genesis
this.
That people used to call Eggman's actual Dr. Robotnik's actual name is Eggman, but everyone calls him Robotnik.
Yeah. So you got right in a row. You got 3 good Sonic games for that system. Sonic 1, 2, and 3.
It's a ton of fun.
There was, there was more Mario games on Super NES, but something like Mario's Missing was horrible.
But the first ever system was able to be made for Sega was the Sega SG.
Yeah.
It was made before the Genesis was released. So I think that probably made 7 or probably 10. I'm not sure, but I think they probably made 10. I'm not sure for Genesis for Sega consoles. If you're a fan of Sega, you would definitely love this. This is one of the games that I still have. It's Sonic Spinball, and it's the same. It's all of the pinball games. I love pinball games.
And if you're sticking just with the character associated with Sega is Sonic, the character associated with Nintendo is Super Mario, and if you're sticking with just those 2 characters, after the first couple games, I start to prefer the Sega.
There's a game on the Wii.
Horrible game.
Called what is that game called? It's called Mario and Sonic. There's a Mario and Sonic game. They're both together.
Now this is something that's just for Sega.
And
I think it's neat.
It is one of the top second favorite games. Actually, Sonic 3.
Well, let's explain. This is like kids today play downloadable content. This was like a retro version of not downloadable content, but purchasable content. This cartridge for Sonic and Knuckles actually goes into the Sega Genesis like this. And there's a game on that, right?
Yeah,
you can play that game.
You can play Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 on it.
You can also go back and insert Sonic 2 into it, and now Knuckles is available on Sonic 2.
Yeah, but also on Sonic 3 too. Show them on Sonic 3 too.
And same principle. It works with Sonic 3.
But it doesn't work on Sonic 1.
No, it doesn't work on Sonic 1. So that was neat. That's something that Sega
but on the
did
iPad version,
that nobody...
Like on my iPad version, you just have to unlock Knuckles and Tails.
Yeah. That's something that Nintendo, you had Game Genies and stuff like that, but that's something that was very unique and it's actually very cool. I do like that on the Sega
thing and like Game Genie and stuff.
And we'll do like
the Disney games.
Kirby was a big thing for Super NES. I didn't get into Kirby. And Super NES done a lot of sports games. Now, this is where Super NES, and then, Sega went back and kind of went back. And I'm sure Super NES done stuff. It has some many. So there's some different games. But sport games and fighting games is where
they all begin.
I really get big with the SNES. They're available on Sega, but I didn't play them on Sega. Two of my favorite game franchises of all time is Mortal Kombat series, which I initially played on the SNES. I've played it on Sega and I like it, but I'm just used to it on SNES. And then I loved NBA Jam, which Nintendo has released and other companies have released on other systems after, but I really liked Nintendo Jam, NBA Jam on the Super NES.
And it's time to get to the Disney games.
Yeah, now Disney got in big with both companies. This game on SNES,
it's called
Toy Story. It's a pretty hard game, actually.
We can never beat level 2.
I'm not crazy about this game. This is kind of a hard game, but this was,
These are like one of my favorite games of all time.
Now these are two that Ryder's played a lot. I think he has played them both on the channel. The Lion King and Aladdin. They're pretty good games. They're not as hard as the Toy Story game. To me, the Toy Story game is really hard. But this is something that
I'll try to beat Toy Story.
This is something that Sega got in on when they come into the Genesis, but Nintendo as a company had been doing for a while because there was Goonies games, there was E.T. games, there was a lot of movie games on
Guess what? They also made
consoles before this.
They also made games that are silly. They made Looney Tunes games.
Yep.
I really want to get those games.
The Looney Tunes, those will be fun. So that's just a couple of the games for each system, and not necessarily our favorite games because, like I said, NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat. Probably my favorite thing. This is my favorite thing that Nintendo has ever done with the SNES is the SNES Classic. It doesn't have all the games I want on it, but it's got all the games, HDMI format, that were super popular. It's got good games. Plus, it's got a version of Star Fox 2, which I don't think was originally available on the console.
Yeah.
And this is a really fun thing.
You have to unlock it.
This was a really fun thing. Now, Sega, I don't know if Sega did it themselves, but there was a version of the Genesis out with built-in games and wireless controllers. We had that for a while.
And if you didn't
and we sold it and got this back instead. Even though you could put games into that system, it just didn't respond very well. I didn't like it.
And these games we had to deal with, and they get dusty.
Yeah, and well, I mean that's with any of the old cartridge games, is playing them. But that's something else me and Ryder differ on. I really like cartridge games because they last forever. Ryder likes CD games. I think it's just because he's been around them more.
I do like cartridge games too.
And even though I like cases and like to have physical things, Ryder doesn't really care much about the cases. So the best thing for me, money-wise, is probably downloads. Anything that's downloaded, I like because it's easier. You don't lose it or anything like that. So I like downloadable stuff. Ryder doesn't like it kind of because he likes to be able to feel something, have it in your hand.
Now, okay, so the Sega Genesis first appeared in 1989. It made games in 1989.
Yeah.
And then the Super Nintendo came out in 1990.
I'd have to check those dates because I do not remember this before this. But it could be. I remember this much later, and it just could be that kids around here didn't get it.
I think that was the first. I think that came, and then the Super Nintendo.
Because see, I guess it's just where I'm from around here, and I've never looked at dates. I remember the Super Nintendo much quicker than I do.
I don't look at dates often.
I don't, and I need to, but they're both really good systems. I like them both. Just kind of my favorite is the SNES. I think because I grew up with it.
My favorite
and Ryder's
and my favorite games or my favorite systems are the Nintendo Wii, DS, Wii U, Genesis, and NES. And I really want to do a video about showing them the DS.
My favorite systems altogether would have to be probably Super Nintendo because it was my favorite at the time. Most of the games I really started playing was on Super Nintendo.
My favorite is the Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah. My favorite would probably be the Nintendo, the SNES, and then my second favorite would probably, just for 2 games, GoldenEye and Mario 64 would be the Nintendo 64. My third favorite would probably be the PlayStation 2 because I played a lot of games on it, and I really got into Tony Hawk coming into PlayStation and PlayStation 2. And then the one that gets, I really like the Wii U, but I really like the Switch. I just wish they'd change the controllers for the Switch. And our next video is going to be about controllers and what controllers we like and what controllers we don't like. So
okay, I want to do a video about the new. Maybe did you know that when you have handheld systems, like
you want to do a handheld system video?
Like a handheld system, like a Game Boy Color or a DS or a Switch. My favorite handheld system was probably the DS.
Okay, well, how about this? Let's do, because we've not done many videos lately. We're going to knock a bunch out lately. We've done Nintendo Super NES versus Sega Genesis. And we're also going to do one on controllers and one on handheld games. So watch for those. We're going to drop a bunch of videos real quick soon.
Daddy will do the controllers and I will do the handheld system.
So, come back.
Bye.